What if I told you that buying a $100,000 luxury yacht could actually leave you $30,000 in debt just to throw it away? These 8 luxury vessels look incredible, but marine surveyors refuse to touch them. Here are the ultimate floating financial black holes. Number 8. Bayliner 2855 Sierra. Back in the 1990s, this model was aggressively marketed as the ultimate luxury entry cruiser. It promised the yachting lifestyle on a middle-class budget, featuring sleek lines and a surprisingly spacious cabin. But beneath that glossy fiberglass exterior was a masterclass in corner cutting. According to historical valuation data, these boats suffered a shocking depreciation rate, plummeting up to 80% in their first 10 years on the water. The reasons are painfully clear to any marine surveyor. The factory used cheap materials that doomed its long-term resale value. Owners quickly discovered severe hull blister issues, where water penetrated the fiberglass and caused the hull to bubble and weaken. Above deck, the cheap vinyl seating degraded rapidly under the sun, turning a luxury cockpit into a cracked, peeling mess. Worst of all were the rotting transoms. The structural core where the engine mounts would literally turn to mush. According to the National Marine Manufacturers Association, while a typical new luxury boat depreciates by roughly 20% in its first year, models with documented structural flaws lose up to 60% of their value within just 3 years. The Bayliner 2855 Sierra is the textbook example of why you never buy a boat based purely on its floor plan. Number 7. Cruisers Yachts 3075 Rogue. If you are shopping for a mid-size express cruiser, the 1999 through 2003 models look like an absolute steal. They boast an aggressive profile and a massive interior volume for a 30-foot vessel. But buying one today is like buying a house with an active termite infestation. These specific model years suffered from severe factory defects in their fiberglass encapsulation process. Inside the hull of a boat, the wooden stringers act as the skeletal spine, providing crucial structural integrity. Because the factory failed to properly seal these wooden stringers in fiberglass, moisture inevitably found its way in. This defect directly led to massive invisible stringer rot. Once those wooden supports turn into damp sponge, the hull becomes structurally worthless, and fixing it requires a complete teardown costing upwards of $15,000. According to Boat U.S. Marine Insurance claims data, stringer rot and water ingestion account for over 35% of total constructive losses in used luxury fiberglass cruisers. You could buy a Cruisers Yachts 3075 Rogue for cheap, but you will be inheriting a soft, rotting hull that is one heavy wave away from a catastrophic structural failure. Number 6. MacGregor 26X. Produced between 1995 and 2003, this vessel was ambitiously marketed as a luxury hybrid motor sailor. The pitch was incredibly seductive to first-time buyers. You could sail it quietly across the bay, or fire up a massive 50-horsepower outboard and speed home like a powerboat. Unfortunately, the MacGregor 26X became the ultimate jack of all trades and master of absolutely none. The fundamental problem lies in the dangerous physics of mixing a flat, planing powerboat hull with a tall, heavy sailboat mast. To keep the boat from instantly tipping over, it relied heavily on a flawed water ballast system. You had to physically flood chambers in the hull with water to give it stability. If an amateur captain forgot to fill the ballast, or if the system failed, the boat became notoriously unstable and prone to capsizing in rough weather. This compromised safety record turned the model into an industry laughingstock among serious mariners. Despite the original luxury marketing and promises of endless weekend adventures, the harsh reality of its physics destroyed its reputation. Today, used models frequently sell for under $10,000. And even at that price, experienced boaters advise running the other way. Number 5. Carver 350 Mariner. Built between 1997 and 2004, this yacht is a prime example of choosing aesthetics over seaworthiness. Step inside, and you will understand why people bought them. The cabin is absurdly spacious, featuring single-level living that feels more like a luxury apartment than a boat. But to achieve that massive interior volume on a 35-foot hull, Carver had to build straight up. The result earned the boat a derogatory industry nickname, the floating bleach bottle. Because of its exceptionally high profile and blocky fiberglass design, the Carver 350 Mariner suffers from extreme windage. In basic terms, the entire boat acts like a giant, uncontrollable sail the moment the wind picks up. When an amateur captain attempts to maneuver this towering structure into a tight marina slip on a breezy afternoon, it becomes notoriously dangerous and incredibly difficult to dock. This fatal design flaw has resulted in disproportionately high collision rates with docks and other vessels. As the nightmare docking stories spread through the boating community, resale demand completely plummeted. It does not matter how comfortable the living room is if you are too terrified to take the boat out of its slip. Number 4. Maxim 3300 SCR. This late 1990s to 2008 mid-tier luxury yacht perfectly illustrates the devastating financial reality of the orphan brand trap. For years, Maxim was a highly popular line, offering sleek express cruisers that looked far more expensive than they actually were. But in 2009, Brunswick Corporation completely discontinued the Maxim brand in response to the economic downturn. Overnight, owners were left totally stranded with zero factory support. Today, the lack of original equipment manufacturer parts means that even simple repairs require expensive custom fabrication. If a specific windshield wiper motor or proprietary hatch hinge breaks, you cannot just order a replacement. You have to pay a machine shop to build one from scratch. Compounding this logistical nightmare, the Maxim 3300 SCR is plagued by rampant electrical corrosion issues hidden deep within its wiring harness. When you combine a massive, aging electrical system with a completely defunct manufacturer, the repair bills multiply exponentially. Historical depreciation data from the J.D. Power Marine Valuation Guide shows a massive drop in resale value for discontinued brands like Maxim. These massive, cheap luxury cruisers have become nearly uninsurable for many new buyers, rendering them essentially worthless on the secondary market. Number 3. Marquis 500 Sport Coupe. Stepping onto the 2008 through 2012 models of this stunning yacht feels like stepping into the future. With Italian styling, expansive glass sunroofs, and premium materials, it looks like a multi-million-dollar dream. But this vessel carries a devastating early adopter tech penalty. To achieve its sleek interior layout, the Marquis 500 Sport Coupe was designed around the first generation of the notoriously complex Volvo Penta IPS pod drives. Instead of traditional straight shafts, these pod drives protrude directly through the bottom of the hull, offering joystick docking and improved fuel efficiency. However, these first-generation pods were incredibly fragile and prone to catastrophic failure. The financial math is absolutely terrifying. An early pod drive failure costs upwards of $30,000 per side to replace. If both drives go out, you are staring at a $60,000 repair bill just to make the boat move again. Because these complex systems are nearly impossible to rebuild cheaply, this massive liability effectively wipes out the boat's entire equity. In today's market, marine surveyors routinely flag these early pod systems, making the vessel essentially unsellable without expensive comprehensive warranties. Number 2. Sea Ray 320 Sundancer. Sea Ray is one of the most respected names in recreational boating, but the 2002 through 2008 editions of the 320 Sundancer hide a catastrophic engine time bomb. Buyers are easily blinded by the pristine luxury interior, the cherry wood cabinets, and the flawless upholstery, completely missing a fatal engineering flaw lurking down in the bilge. The problem lies specifically with models equipped with the massive Mercruiser 8.1-liter engines. To fit these large blocks into the sleek, low-profile hull, engineers had to compromise on the exhaust design. The geometry of the exhaust system was dangerously flawed, creating a vacuum effect that actively sucked seawater backward through the exhaust and directly into the engine's cylinders. This leads to a mechanical nightmare known as hydro-locking. Because water cannot be compressed, the pistons slam into the trapped water, instantly bending rods and destroying the engine entirely. The harsh reality of buying one of these used is that you might face a $20,000 to $30,000 engine replacement before you even take your second trip. This fatal water ingestion flaw instantly destroys the resale value of an otherwise beautiful boat. Number 1. Lurs 32 Open. At the top of our list is a vessel that represents the ultimate financial trap. These mid-2000s luxury sport fishers look like rugged ocean-conquering machines, heavily prized by offshore anglers. But they carry the dreaded balsa core death sentence. To save weight while maintaining structural rigidity, the manufacturer sandwiched a layer of balsa wood between the inner and outer fiberglass skins of the hull below the waterline. As detailed in the extensive analysis by renowned marine surveyor David Pascoe, this design is fundamentally doomed. A single improperly sealed factory fitting, a through-hull transducer, or a tiny stress crack allows pressurized seawater to breach the fiberglass. Once that balsa wood gets wet, the moisture wicks through the entire bottom of the boat, turning the rigid hull into a spongy, rotting mess. Fixing this catastrophic core rot requires peeling the entire fiberglass bottom off the boat, replacing the wood, and re-glassing the hull. This massive undertaking costs upward of $30,000, which is frequently far more than the actual cash value of the boat on the used market. It renders these beautiful sport fishers mathematically worthless, turning a luxury asset into literal garbage. Which of these floating financial black holes shocked you the most? Subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden realities of luxury assets, and leave a comment below with your thoughts.